At Biblin's campsite, people come and go all the time, and so do our wardens. Some wardens have time to take it easy, whilst others are as busy as a mole in an empty field. The wardens are all different, but every Biblin's warden has a story to tell, and they all start their day with a cup of tea. What do you think Helen has written in the warden's diary today? Helen had got up early and had been sitting outside the warden's cabin drinking tea. It had been a strange morning. She had seen a young girl walk past with a clothes peg hanging off her jumper. Later on, she saw an extremely tall teenager amble past with a clothes peg attached to their hat. And it was after she saw a medium-sized boy walking past with a clothes peg clipped to his trousers that curiosity got the better of her. That's a very unusual fashion statement, she thought to herself, and she decided to wander around the campsite in order to better understand the mystery of the pegs. She clambered down the steps and strode off in the direction of the canoe launch. She spotted a group that had been offered one of the larger pitches, and recognising one of the Woodcraft Folk pioneer leaders, headed over for a chat. She had barely said hello before a harassed-looking woman emerged from the kitchen tent. "Hey!" she exclaimed, brandishing a spatula. "I know you're all playing that silly game where you try to secretly attach pegs to each other's clothes. But if you keep stealing pegs from the washing line, then my tea towels end up on the floor." So, although the mystery of the pegs turned out to have a rather mundane explanation, Helen stayed for a little while longer talking to the pioneer leader, who turned out to be called Guy. During that time, she noticed that the other campers had provided no less than 3 cups of tea to the woman with the spatula. She also watched as some rather sheepish-looking young people picked up the tea towels and, with help from Guy, carefully put them in a pan of boiling water to clean. Helen was about to leave when she noticed the lady with the spatula sneak into the store tent and return with a brand new pack of clothes pegs. She placed most of the pegs at the base of the camp flagpole, but slipped a few into her pocket, and then called the cooking clan to report to the kitchen so she could show them the recipe for tonight's dinner. This could be interesting, thought Helen, and so it was. She watched as first one camper emerged from the kitchen tent with a peg on their bag, then 2 more, each with pegs on their t-shirts, and then 3 with pegs on their jumpers, and finally Guy with a peg on his hat. Sally grinned to herself and made her way back towards the cabin. She grinned even more when she saw Guy walk past the cabin and lead a group across Biblin's bridge with a peg on his hat, and she had to suppress a giggle when Guy returned several hours later with a peg on his hat. Later in the day she saw Guy collecting wood from the woodpile next to the cabin with a peg on his hat, and as she did her evening tour of the site, she saw Guy around the campfire telling stories to the children with a peg on his hat. And then Guy spent much of the remainder of the evening singing around the campfire with a peg still firmly attached to the brim of his hat. Helen drained her evening cup of tea and went inside to add the peg game to the warden's diary. I wonder, she thought to herself, when will Guy find out that he has a peg on his hat? The warden's diary is a work of fiction, and any resemblance to persons living or dead is purely because all of our comrades are such a fertile source of ideas and inspiration. Biblin's is a youth campsite near Simmons Yat in the Wye Valley that takes bookings exclusively from organised youth groups and schools. The site is currently shut due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we have an active Just Giving page to help cover our costs while the site isn't running. Check out the links below for more information. And if you have ideas for the Warden's Diary, then get in touch with us via social media. And don't forget to click that subscribe button for more tales from the Warden's Diary.